Hey Simonics, what's up? This is Simon back with a new user or community selected topic on chart integration with Ionic. We had this topic in the past and actually I've reflected on the previous article and it is kind of outdated, I feel. So I went back into the research and took a look at what's on the market, and I want to share with you the alternatives and then how we can use one of these packages in our app to build a cool little demonstration of stock prices. So what I did is I basically Googled for Angular charts, and maybe the package with the most stars on GitHub is actually NGX charts from Swimlane. From Swimlane, I think we also had another tutorial on the data tables or so, and I gave this a try. But I have to admit, I didn't really like the experience because they have some demos and a documentation, but I don't feel like their documentation is really great. So if you go into the examples right here, this is actually the only one having a little stick example, but once you go anywhere else, you will just see the inputs and the data format. You don't even really know how the component is called in the view, so it is really tricky to make progress with the package. It does offer a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do with the package, how it is drawn onto the screen. So it is really a good package based on D3. You can give it a try if you want to, but I also had problems in the end deploying it to a device. Somehow the bars turned black. I think now I remember why, because I used a gradient. They have some other colors predefined, so it is pretty good. But I still went back and looked for something else. So what I discovered as well is Chartist, and there's a package, I think, ng Chartist. This is a really basic, simple, or simple as it can get with charts. So if you're looking for something that is a bit more flexible and we can do a lot of things, then Chartist might not be for you. If you're just looking for something really easy to get started, Chartist might be your solution. Besides that, I also found two other packages that got quite a lot of stars, but I'm not really sure about them. So this one is also using D3. I haven't tried it out so far, and this one's using high charts. I think on the market of charts, there's really a lot of different packages that we can use, and the one I ended up using was actually the one we had before, which is ng2 charts, which is a wrapper around Chart.js. I think Chart.js is a great package in itself. And can we get to Chart.js somehow? Yeah, there it is. And it has just a great sample documentation. You really see what you get, and ng2 charts is basically the wrapper around it. So after all this talk, let's admit there are a lot of packages. ng2 charts might not work in your case, but in that case, simply pick one of the others, give it a try, and you will see each of them has some advantages and disadvantages. So feel free to use anything else, but most should definitely work with Ionic, and that's what we're gonna do now. So what I did is I created a blank new app, went into it and installed the ng2 charts package and also the Chart.js package. Also, I installed a little plugin that allows to zoom into a chart because in the end I discovered we had kind of a lot of data, and this package made it pretty easy to zoom into. So now it looks right into our chart. All right, enough of the talk. Let's see some code. We can get started with our app module, in which we actually just need the HTTP client. Because we're gonna make a little request to a financials API. I can show you as well right now. So this one's called Financial Modeling Prep. You can go to API documentation. The starting page looks really marketing-like or really financial busy. And then you go into the documentation. It's actually pretty great. You can click on all of these and you get the preview JSON. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the stock historical price, and we will use a little date because I don't want to have the last 20 years or so. So if I click on this, it takes a few seconds because there are kind of a lot of data entries, and then we see nice JSON perfectly for a little graph. All right, so financialmodelingprep.com. As I said, HTTP client goes to the app module in order to make our request, and also in order to actually enable our Zoom plugin, we simply have to import it right here in the app module. It didn't work without the import. This was also the fix on one of the GitHub issues. So if you want to use the Zoom plugin, go ahead and put it into your app module. Now we can continue with a home module, or basically any module of a page where you want to use the package of the charts. So charts module from ng2 charts is what you need to import in every module of a page where you want to use it. So perhaps it's not your home page, then just put it somewhere else. And now we have to import a few things or define a few things for Chart.js upfront. In the past, this was actually a bit more or closer to Chart.js, plain.js. And now let me show you what I mean. It looks a bit different. So we got a few different fields that we will actually supply to the canvas element of our chart. So how do we continue best? First of all, let's add the imports for everything. And you will see that some of these are actually from ng2 charts and some are actually from Chart.js. So chart data will hold all of our data. Basically, data for Chart.js looks like this. You get an array of data elements in the label for this. In here, we will have all the prices, like today was 12, tomorrow 14, whatever. If you need any more data, you could have a separate entry in here. So then you would have multiple lines or multiple bars, depending on which chart type you choose. Let's format this as well. The chart labels, okay, so these will be the labels of the different days. We got a lot of options. I think that's actually not too super interesting right now. We will go through them, I would say, once we see some data on the screen. So for now, let's try to quickly get our HTTP request up. Don't worry, we will get back to the other stuff in a second. So import the HTTP client, and then let's add a function get data, and this will make a request, and I will have to input this. Oh, sweet Jesus, why is this so long? I will just show you like this. Okay, so get request to financial modeling prep API version 3 historical price full, then followed by the stock name, which is like Apple or Microsoft Apple. So the abbreviation, I think that's the name for the stock. And then from whatever you want, maybe we'll just go for, let's just keep it like it is for now. So this should hopefully give us back some data, and that's something we can actually test right now. Also, we should somewhere close some brackets, and now we're fine. So, of course, you could pick like a weather API or anything else. This is just to give us some testing data that we can then use for our chart and to see how it works with an API request. And maybe we should also call get data in the beginning in order to see something. Don't worry, the request can actually take a few seconds or not. I will put it into one line again. Not sure. What is this now? Let me just copy this once again. Okay, yeah, of course, we haven't set our stock. Let's set this one to Apple right now. This was already based on the assumption that we would have an input field, which we don't have right now. So here's the historical data for Apple. The interesting part, or everything is interesting, but for us, we want to take the date, which gives us the day for the x-axis, and then we're going to use the close price simply to display anything. You could also change anything else. So with that in mind, we now know that we have to iterate through this historical field of the JSON data. So let's get this from our response already. Historical. And then for let entry of history, we're gonna construct our data. And we're gonna have to fill in these two. So before we do anything else, let's reset them. So charts label can be reset to an empty array. For chart data, you see the structure is a bit different. So we can't just set it to an empty array back, or we could set it like this, but actually that wouldn't really make sense. We just want to set the data field to an empty array again, and therefore we say chart data at the position 0 dot data is again an empty array, and then we can fill in the new data. And now with all the information we got, we can say this dot chart labels push entry dot date, and this will be displayed as I said at the bottom. And then this store chart data at the position 0 data push the actual entry close price. So now this is really important that you format your data in the right way for Chart.js. I think that's a big problem if you have any other data that you need to transform it into the right format. Maybe we could lock this out after the iteration again. Data, because otherwise Chart.js will simply not display the right values. You will see it on the wrong axis. Right now we got this one. As you can see, we got the labeled stock price and we got the data for each day in there. The date for that day is in the labels array, so they are separated. That's something you have to keep in mind. Now with that in place, I think it's time to actually create our canvas element, which is used for the chart integration. And if we just put the base chart onto the canvas and apply a few more things, then we will actually already see our data. So the data sets field is the most important field because this one holds all of our information. So into this one we put chart data, and into labels, guess what? Chart labels. And with that in place, it might actually already work. Let's see how it looks. Unsupported chart type. Okay, we haven't set a chart type. That actually makes sense. So let's use the chart type that we've defined, which is in our case, not the chart type, but the chart type, the line chart. So that's what I meant. We would come back to all these options. We've now talked about these, and now we are talking about the chart type, and perhaps we will also talk about chart legend in a second. Please save. The other field that we have is chart colors. So you can define the colors for the chart if you want to. In our case, I just inserted black for the border and a very strange background. And here we see our stock price of the Apple stock. If we go over it with a mouse, we can see the price. That was kind of low here. I should have invested back then. And right now we can't zoom with my mouse, but we will fix that as well. Here we see the price. We could change all these labels, and here we see what we added. So these were all the dates we added right here. Entry date is in that format. That's fine for now. So now let's add a few more things to maybe change some colors, display a few other things, and also, of course, let's add a little input so we can search for something. That sounded pretty German. Anyway, so a simple ion item with an input for the ng model of stock should be enough. And on click, we will call our get data once again. So this is just to make the thing a bit more interesting, and therefore we're not gonna call this from here anymore. Let's keep Apple stock in here for now. I actually don't know about a lot of other names. So maybe we can look up something here. What is Facebook? Is it just FB? Really? Is that Facebook? Let's try it out. Looks like it is Facebook. Interesting. So here we see Facebook data. Let's change this to Microsoft. And the graph transforms pretty nicely. And back to Apple. There we go. No more update functionality is needed. We just set it back to 0 and then add our data again. And in the end, we see this nice graph displayed on the screen. So now we have our stock price searching in place. Now we can go a step further. So as I said, we wanted to use the chart colors as well. And I don't know why my auto formatting is putting this on one line. I would love to have it like this for now. So if you want to supply some colors, you can do it right here. With our chart colors, we just defined, as I said, the border color and the background color. So right now, yeah, we have to place search. So you see the black border right here and the background is pretty strange. So let's add a little card to apply some settings for our canvas. So with this card, we can now toggle if we want to have a line chart or bar chart, if we want to show the legend and also the background color, which is accessing directly the element. So this is of course not related or not 100% related to Chart.js, but just Ionic and connecting the right values of our that we supply to Chart.js and our ng model. So show legend means exactly what you think it means. The legend is what you see right here. And right now, let's search again. There we go. Now it is there and it is gone. Right now we see a line chart. And if we switch it, okay, I haven't implemented the type change. So let's just quickly do this. There comes the change event. To get the value of the toggle, you can simply use edetail value if you spell it correctly, and then set your chart type to, if it is on, you can set it to line and otherwise to bar. You can check out the examples from Chart.js, if I found it somewhere, on the different types of charts. So bar charts, line charts, area, crazy charts. Really, there's basically everything in, you will find the chart you need. And now, why is it not changing? Type changed. I think we're using the chart type, aren't we? Maybe that's again, yeah. Poor man's logging in place. Chart type is, I think chart type is assigned. I'm not sure why it's not working. So let's search for Apple. Line. Okay, why is it? What? It is checked. It is not value. I haven't had enough coffee today. I'm sorry for that. But now, voila. These are some awesome bars. And switch it back, and we're back with a line and back with a bar. Show legend, hide legend, and use whatever background color. Ah, that hurts. You enjoy. That hurts even more. I can't read this. I don't know. I can use a hex editor, but I'm really poor at figuring out upfront which color will be displayed. If anyone can do this, I congratulate you. Now, we gotta search for the stocks. We got our options. Let's finally take another look at, so here's chart color, chart type, show legend, everything was explained. And the chart options finally. In here, we can define some global options for Chart.js. You can see this on the page. You will often see inside the documentation that it's using something like, I don't know in which place, something like global animation or so. And most of the time, this is the chart options object in which you define these global things. So for us, we can enable zoom, we can enable panning, we could, for example, specify a title for the whole graph or set it to responsive. And everything of these options can also be set right here. So options, and pass in the chart options object. As you can see, the usage changed a bit. If I look at the old implementation right here, that was the previous post, we see a lot of accessing the view child and doing some crazy things on the view child. Where is it? Right here. Directly creating a new chart using the native element. So I think it is actually a bit nicer how it is now. Now you see the historic price. I can zoom into this. I can move it to the up and down. Can I zoom out? Legend still working, and responsive should be as well. So I can make this quite big. Of course, with all the data, if you now deploy it to a device, it will more look like this. So really small. In that case, you might want to give it a custom class and perhaps change the height to something bigger. Okay, that's now not super fast, but you know what I mean. Of course, be not responsible, but think about what you present on a mobile device. I often see too much information on a small screen. So really pick something that is more useful to be displayed on a small screen. Of course, if you just develop for the web with Ionic, this looks perfectly fine. You can build your stock indicator, tracker, whatever, and that will actually look pretty cool. Anyway, this was the implementation and usage of Chart.js using ng2 charts. As I said in the beginning, there are a lot of other packages that you could try out, but I found this one to work pretty good in terms of the result that you get. The documentation and some examples are good. It has a lot of features already built in that you can easily use, and once you understand how Chart.js in general formats the objects that you need to pass, it becomes kind of simple. So let me know what you think about Chart.js, or if you have other different package and why you prefer high charts or D3 charts powered using Swimlane, whatever. Just leave a comment. If you're not yet subscribed, please make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like, hit everything, and then I will catch you inside the next video. So have a great day, take care, and build some awesome graphs.